Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Jake Steak with Jacob Elyachar Podcast, the 5th anniversary season. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of JakeSteak.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. Before we get started, if you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and please subscribe. And if you're listening to this on any of our audio platforms, download this episode and more episodes after this production. I am thrilled to welcome my next guest. He is a Generation Z voice actor. He has done projects such as Broken Promise, Delicious, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. He voiced Liam Murphy on Happy Humble Burger Farm and the return of Northbury Grove VR edition. So please help me welcome Kevin Cutliffe to the podcast.
And the crowd goes wild. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Kevin. It's a pleasure to talk with you. And guys, just to let you know, we met on Lunch Club, and Lunch Club is not sponsoring this video.
No, of course not. But if they want to, I'm open. I'm open to it.
Same here. So, Kevin, guys, Kevin, let's get started. So, when did you get interested in performing, and how did that passion evolve into desire to pursue a career in the entertainment industry?
It's really interesting. So, I tell the story a lot. I kind of rehearse the story, but it's like when I was 6 years old, I got an audiobook from who knows where. I don't know where it was. It was like the CD, right? And it was Geronimo Stilton, which is like if you know Geronimo Stilton, it's kind of like the Adventures of Tintin, but it's for kids. It's a bunch of mouse people, and he's a journalist, and he solves mysteries and things like that. And this audiobook version was narrated by a person named Bill Lobley. And Bill Lobley did basically every character in the audiobook. So he did the narrator, Geronimo, he did the young characters, and even the female characters, which is I found hilarious. So, and that kind of stuck with me. And, being inspired by like animation, like Tara Strong, Mel Blanc, and all the greats. It's like growing up, I've always had an interest in specifically voice acting, and as a performer, I finally took that leap when I was 14 years old, and it's grown into something really really great.
That's incredible. I gotta say, Tara Strong, and Mel Blanc. Oh my God, two of the greatest voice actors of all time. I could hear Tara's Buttercup and Tommy Pickles in my head right now, and her Harley Quinn in background.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think about like where I kind of grew up with her. I'm younger, so like I know like Teen Titans Go kind of came out when I was 10, 11, and she plays Raven in Teen Titans, and MLP. My sister grew up on MLP, and she was the main character in that, so I always heard her in the background. Yeah, I mean Timmy Turner, Mel Blanc. I mean everyone knows Mel Blanc. It's all of Looney Tunes basically. So it's like yeah, when you hear people like that on air, it's just that inspires you to be the best you can be.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you did a lot of video script. Now, one of your major things is you work on the dubbing side. So basically, when
Mm.
I heard of dubbing, it took me a while to realize, and then I clicked with me. It is basically the anime, and also the Power Rangers. All these years of Power Rangers, I should have known it was dubbing. So when did you get
hmm
interested in dubbing? And can you describe that to my audience?
Yeah, so dubbing is a process where you take an already made show. So, like for example, if you're making a show from scratch, that's called prelay, and you record the voices first, and then they animate around you. And so that's what they'll do in other countries. But in dubbing, you are bringing this project that's already been created, that's already a finished product, it's already been exported, and you're replacing that audio with English audio or a different language depending on where you're dubbing in. So there's many types of dubbing, but yes, the most popular is anime. I mean, it's been around since the 70s, and it's a very popular among people my age. And but there is also live action dubbing, which has been around for a long time, but it's been more kind of an international thing. I think English live action dubbing really took a forefront with Squid Game. When Squid Game came out here on Netflix, they had an English dub, and with the popularity of that show, Netflix has just been going wild with their English dubbing for live action.
And I was just watching The Manny, which is basically a Netflix,
Mm.
and I said it was a dub. I the call on to dubbing. So it was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, for sure. I mean, Netflix, they're people they contract for their dubbing. I mean, there are some amazing people, some amazing studios there, like IUNO and BSI, and definitely the people to work for sure.
All right, so I want to talk to you about some of the projects that you have dubbed for. So let's start with Broken Promise. You guys can find it on Amazon Prime Video, and some of the characters that you voiced were Alex, Dezo, Fred, and Herman. So what attracted you to that project?
So yeah, I've always I had heard about Funkapur, or Funkapur. I don't actually know how to say their studio name. They're a studio based in Pakistan, small little cute little dubbing studio. They do all sorts of cool projects, like older projects, and they've finally brought them into English. So Broken Promise was a movie that was made in 2009 in Slovakia, and it only just got an English dub now. I believe it also just got a Spanish dub as well. What attracted me to the project, I mean, there's an amazing dude. His name is David Cherry, and he was the director on this movie. And he's here in Atlanta. I have massive respect for him, and so when I heard David was attached to the project, I definitely wanted to work on the movie.
That is incredible, and I got to say this: it's amazing. But however, when during our lunch conversation, when I saw Yu-Gi-Oh, I was like, wow, that's definitely part of that legendary franchise. However, it is one of the latest props of Yu-Gi-Oh Sevens, which can be found on Hulu, Disney XD, and on YouTube. So you voiced Ricky and other characters as well.
That's correct. So Yu-Gi-Oh has been around for a very long time, and everyone kind of knows the original with Yugi, but there's been many series. There's Yu-Gi-Oh, there's GX, 5Ds, Arc-V, Vrains, and now the current series is Sevens. And so Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens was kind of a different series to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. It changes the rules of the card game. They've changed the art style. They went with a new studio, so it's very looks different than the last series. But I feel like the people who work on that dub, Darren and all of Konami Cross Media, I was very honored to book that role. It was my very first dubbing role. I booked it when I was 18. Yeah, I mean, it was very honoring. Ricky is a great, great, fun character. I wish he appeared more. But yeah, I mean, Hulu and Disney, I mean, we've seen the results, and it was a success. Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens was a successful show.
And it's amazing to see that how successful it can be because we're seeing right now Pokemon fans are learning about what is like Pokemon is like without Ash Ketchum and Pikachu being involved. So it's very and so
Yeah.
it's fair. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! If you can survive, so can Pokemon.
Of course. Yeah, it's kind of like Digimon, because Pokemon was kind of an interesting thing where they kept their protagonists for so long. I'm a big Pokemon nerd, and I can talk all day about it. It's actually, and we'll get to that later. But um, yeah, I mean, I think more it's like Digimon, because Digimon also kind of changed their protagonists like every 3 years. For Yu-Gi-Oh fans, this is more normal for them, but it is definitely comparable, especially if you're not used to the art style shift and how it's a much younger protagonist versus a lot of the older series. Like Vrains, coming from Vrains, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains was a series about how AI and really dark themes. I think it was one of the darkest Yu-Gi-Oh! Series in a while. So going from that to Sevens, which is very much comedy, was definitely a shift.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Pokemon, it definitely reminded me of the Kalos League versus the when it transitioned into the Lolo region. So definitely because it was definitely Kalos was definitely a very different and very one of the most toughest and intense Ash adventures in a long time. And then you get into Alola, and you see him not only pause his training, but go into class and eventually wins his championship of nearly 20 years.
Oh yeah, I mean, people have mixed reactions on Sun and Moon, but I personally, like, that came out when I was 14. I think Sun and Moon is the best Pokemon series of all seven of them. So I can't complain, especially after the Kalos League. I mean everyone was a little iffy about that, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
We'll get to more Pokemon talk later. But however, we got to talk about the tunnel.
Mhm.
Now this project can be seen on both Tubi, Roku channel, and Amazon Prime Video. So when did you get? Tell me a little bit about this project.
So yeah, The Tunnel was my very first dubbing project. And this was before Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, and I booked this with a studio called New York Dub. They're also a very small satellite studio based in New Jersey. The director who owns the studio, Fatih, he's an amazing dude. He knows how to dub. He knows how to mix. He really knows his stuff when it comes to dubbing. And The Tunnel, I mean, it was definitely like going into this project. So the tunnel is about I'm kind of a rambler, but it's about basically, in Norway, it's a Norwegian movie. In Norway, there's a lot of tunnels going through lots of mountains because Norway has a lot of mountains. But a lot of these tunnels actually are not equipped for emergencies. And that's kind of like the tagline of the movies: two ways in, no way out. So it's like, the premise of it is kind of based off like how a true story, right? Where an explosion happens in the tunnel and everyone tries to figure out how they get through and how they get out, and it's a very big dramatic little scene. So yeah, I played Kurt. He was the main character's sidekick. He appears every so often. It was my first time doing a live action dub and a dub in general, and it showed me the ropes. It's a lot different than other types of voice acting. Um, and ultimately, I think it shapes the way that I would pursue and see dubbing for the foreseeable future. Um, you know, Fatih knows what he's doing, and he also came back to me for Delicious, and so that was very great.
And I gotta say, it must be you have to be precise when you see your character's name on screen because it's very, like, I don't know if they provide you with the footage, but like, I remember seeing some Disney and Dragon and like Scooby Doo and stuff like that, like behind the scenes watch growing up. And it's basically they watch the video and like see them record their voice. So I bet
Mm.
you always have to like say, like, I bet you need to be you have to have perfection.
Yeah, and I guess we can kind of put this describing dubbing with number two. But the way that dubbing works is that basically when you're given the script, it's been adapted, and what that adaptation is that someone first has translated it. So let's say for The Tunnel, it was Norwegian; for Yu-Gi-Oh, it was Japanese. Broken Promise, it was Slovak, and then they adapt it, and then the adaptation is a different version where it is fit to lip flap, right? So they can't say, "I can't believe this is happening." They have to make it fit the mouth flap. So it's like, this is of crazy or whatever. Like it has to fit the same meaning while still getting the timing across. So when we're dubbing, there's two types of dubbing. There's three beep dubbing and there's rhythmo band dubbing. Three beep dubbing is kind of like the traditional way of dubbing, and it's pretty much all I've done. Where you were given three beeps, and on the fourth one you go, and there's no fourth one, but you imagine where the fourth one is. So it goes beep, 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 and then you start talking, and they'll show you the scene in the original language, and then you go the three beeps, and then you go. And you go scene by scene. So it's like when people ask me like, "What was your favorite part of this show?" and it's like, I don't know, I've only seen the portions that I've dubbed, but the rhythm band dubbing is kind of new. It's been around in France for a long time, but it's being adopted a lot in Los Angeles. And what rhythm band is like is where it's kind of more like karaoke. So they'll have the screen, the footage on top, and then big letters and words on the bottom, and it scrolls past, kind of like that. And I've heard it's a lot easier. It's a lot more intuitive, and it has you. It's not like you're looking back and forth between the script. My professional booth has a monitor in it specifically for dubbing. So you kind of, yeah, you have to kind of be on that focus and timing. It's an art.
And it's incredible art that you do as well. So let's talk about the speaking part. There's nothing like the world of video games, as we were
Of
talking
course.
earlier. However, your video games are more horror based, which is something I get scared very easily, so I would not be playing that. However,
Yeah, I feel that. I admit I barely have played the games I'm in. I'm too scared.
oh yeah, so let's talk about Happy's Humble Burger Farm because this is the first time you voiced Liam Murphy in 2021, and you can play that on PC, Nintendo
Mhm.
Switch, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. So, can you describe Liam Murphy to my audience, please?
So it's interesting. So to kind of describe Liam, you have to kind of describe the game. Happy's Humble Burger Farm is a horror game developed by Scythe Dev Team, and Scythe creates a lot of horror games and games that are all in this one kind of big universe. Happy's Humble Burger Farm was like one of their big breakout hits. They had an alpha in 2020, I believe, and that's kind of where I came in because they didn't actually have a plan for any voice characters until they wanted to kind of flesh it out more. So Liam actually didn't have a name in this game. What they had in this game was a bunch of secret tapes. So if you broke into one of the radio stations, you could take some of the tapes and put them in a cassette player and hear them. And so my character, he was like an interviewee. He was actually on a podcast with a DJ, and he basically talked about his former experience playing a role of Dimitri Duck. So he played a character on an ice show. He had a really creepy and weird time, and he wasn't supposed to talk about it. He was supposed to stay anonymous, and because he didn't stay anonymous, he got found out, and he dies on the call. So yeah, he didn't have a name, and so that kind of goes into the next game, which we can discuss. But yeah, Happy Humble Burger Farm. It was an interesting like project to get into, and it's definitely worth playing if you're into horror.
All right, so let's flash forward to 2 years, 2023. It's time virtual reality, and it's Return to Northbury Grove.
Yeah, so Return to Northbury Grove is a sequel slash prequel to Northbury Grove, which is another Scythe Dev Team game. So Northbury Grove is actually one of their most popular games of all time, I think comparative to Happy Humble, and it was like one of their first ever breakout hits. And it's so flash forwarding, we're actually flash backing, I guess, where Liam Murphy is actually given a name now. And this was because, you know, the director really liked me and he wanted to find a way to get to work with me again. And so what he did is he had my character, and this kind of goes back to where he auditions for the role of that character in Happy's Humble Burger Farm. So he's finally given that name and retroactively given the name Liam. And so we get to learn how he became Dimitri Duck and the crazy crap that he's been through. And he's never catching a break.
Yeah, and it must be with your virtual reality. It's like basically now actually there's a sandbox technology walkthrough and like that I did a couple last year, and it is insane. So like I could definitely see this game be a little bit terrifying.
No, it's great. I mean, I've tried it on my Meta Quest. I mean, the audio is so immersive. I mean, John, who is the director and sound designer, he knows exactly how to get you in the mood. The guy who voices the main murderer character just does a great job of being terrifying. And it is also very fun to do death screams, so you hear that if you die. So.
Oh, believe me, I'm horrible with playing video. Like, I'm good with like stuff that's on my iPad and like everything like that. But like the thing is, I think I lost my. And if you give me a Game Boy Color, I could probably play it with a Pokemon game inside of it. But like in a GameCube, I can play that. But however, VR, I can't.
Right. No, I can't do VR that much either. It makes me motion sick. But I had to give it a shot for the game I'm in. But yeah, I don't usually play VR often, but it was definitely a unique experience for the studio and for me.
Awesome. So, what have been some of the challenges that you face staying in the entertainment industry, and how did you overcome those obstacles?
I think 2023 was a rough year for a lot of us voice actors, and I don't want to do like a woe is me kind of thing, but it is also tough for a lot of remote voice actors at the moment. It is very tough for actors in general. I mean, we have a looming threat of AI. Last year we had the Actors Guild strike. I'm non-union, but a lot of productions were still kind of affected, and some productions went on hold just not to wanting to scab, and that's totally fair. I believe in that. And things are kind of closing back up in terms of non-COVID roles because when COVID kind of came around, a lot of studios wanted to go with remote talent and find that kind of talent that was just available and ready to work. But now they kind of want to go back into LA and have like the engineer in place and have the right microphones in place and make sure that they can actually see their actors and work with them on time. So I think one of the biggest industries challenges that I'm going to be facing, at least in 2024, is the remote bubble closing even more, uh, facing AI, how it might be impacting e-learning roles, how it may be impacting commercial roles and small little indie roles, and ultimately, I think, and one of the biggest things will be I think, ultimately though, like getting past like all these issues, I mean, I tell myself that, I'm very young and that I have time. And I think, as long as I stay with the people that I trust and continue working hard and training my voice, I think it'll be fine.
And I think that's a great optimism about you. And I really liked hearing that. And like, especially the thing is, yeah, I know the people I admire, like Regis Philbin and Barbara Walters, they were in their careers in their up into the 80s when they had like nearly 60 years of a career is just a long
Mhm.
time. And I don't know, I'd rather have that length of a career than be a flash in the pan.
Right. Of course. And I think every voice actor and every actor has their bout of anxiety. I mean, I always sometimes wonder if it's like if I have was like a one trick pony back in 2020 and 2021 where I was booking a lot and then that's it. But no, I think it's a slow burn, right? And you got to keep working and you got to keep training and you got to keep going forward and hustling because it is a business and ultimately everyone's trying to get to the same place and we're all going to succeed.
Absolutely, we're all going to succeed, and I gotta say we all should support each other,
Hmm.
not try to tear everyone down. Because the thing is, it's very lonely at the top.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Alrighty, so I want to talk to you about, have you thought about your dream roles or like dream projects?
Yeah, so I alluded to this a bit ago, but yeah, obviously Pokemon is my dream role. I mean, so there's so many Pokemon projects right now. I mean, there is the main anime, so you have Pokemon Horizons, you have Pokemon Masters EX, which is the game, and there's lots of other different Pokemon projects out there. And the interesting thing is that they kind of have this rule where every canon has to have a different actor. So like this one character in the game might have a different actor in a spin-off series, will have a different voice actor in the anime and have a different voice actor in the game. So that gives a lot of chances to want to voice my favorite characters. Like, oh, I've lost twice now, but maybe the third time I'll be able to have a chance to try out for that character. So any way of being in the Pokemon franchise, I think, or the Digimon franchise, I think, because me and my boyfriend we love that show, and I would love to be part of that show. And other dream projects. I mean, I would just love to also be part of any cool kids show 6 to 10 because this kind of goes into what my dream is as a voice actor. I have a 6-year-old brother, and he thinks I'm the world, and I love him so much, and I barely get to see him because he lives overseas. But he consumes a lot of media, and I would love to kind of going back where I was at MomoCon back in March or May, and I was standing in line to meet another voice actress. Their name was Sarah Nicole Robles. They voiced Luz in the Owl House. So there's a big franchise. They voice a big main character. And standing around me, there were these fans who got to meet them, and they started crying. And it's not. I'm not trying to be famous. I'm trying to make. I don't want to be famous. I want to live comfortably, and I want to make memories. Ultimately, for my 6-year-old brother, for fans like those, I want to make memories that are comforting and that stick with you for a long time. These are the types of things that make you happy. So I want my brother to consume the media that I kind of consumed that got me to this place now as a voice actor. The media that sticks with me, like Pokemon, and for the fans that find that comfort in their characters. Any dream
I
role.
will say, yeah, those are, I think Pokemon would be wonderful. And that's very interesting. I did not know that fact. That I thought that it was basically Veronica Taylor and then Sarah Nakame who would be Ash's voice. But I did not know, like, if Ash was in Pokemon Masters EX, he would have another voice actor.
So that's the interesting thing. Ash was in Masters, and they had Serenata Cheney voice Ash in that game. I guess so. It's like, oh, if Ash is the anime character, then that counts. But it's like, I guess there's a difference between like a game version and a anime version. Look, I'm a nerd. I will correct you, but but yeah, it's like it definitely gives me a lot of hope because I've seen like one of my friends now voices a character I want to voice in one medium, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll be his counterpart in another. So
As long as they decide not to do a multiverse of madness, if you know what I mean.
of course.
Yeah, I could definitely see, and like back to the Comic Con, it's like I get it. It's amazing. It's like I've seen people lose it for like when waiting in lines for like Planet Comic Con, New York Comic Con. It's like basically, I think that with me, I know that there are people that do their jobs. Like it's like I don't think I was as like to me. There was a little emotional I had with Stan when I met Stan Lee because he inspired me to
Yeah.
write. But like
Yeah.
the thing way back, this was back when he was in Planet Kansas City in 2016. But however, the people like the late and great JDF, people like William Daniels who played Mr. Feeney on Boy Meets World, William Shatner. It's like basically I know they're icons, but at the same time they're human as well. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for the memories. And like because the thing is, you don't want to be a blubbering mess in front of the people that you may want to have behind the microphone.
But that's, I think that's the interesting thing. I don't think I think it's okay to be a blubbering mess if, because it's not, for me, it's like if someone were to come to me being a blubbering mess because I played a character that deeply affected them, first of all, that's good. That means like, and they're not there for me, right? They're there for the character. And this is what matters to me. It's like, I don't want to be the famous person if I was at a con, right? If someone was meeting me, I don't want to be you're meeting Kevin, right? I want to be the memory maker and the thing that kind of makes that difference in someone's life. So, I know a lot of people that have those types of comfort characters and the things that really motivated them to get out of bed in the morning and things like that. And that's kind of where I want to do. I want to create and want to make art. And so I think it's okay if you want to be emotional in front of people, because I think that tells the actor that you've done a good job and that you've really put yourself out there and that you've made someone's day.
And that's great to hear. And it's really good to hear. So I got to say this, we got to start winding down our conversation, my friends. So how do you use social media to connect with your fans? Like, do you prefer a social media app?
I use all types of social media. In fact, so if you go to my website, kevincutliffe.com, you'll see all the little social media right there on the homepage. That way I don't have to list every single app. It's just an easy click away. So
Awesome. So Kevin, besides those social media apps, where can my audience find some of your work to watch? Like you can pick some, because I know you have a lot, but where can they find their work? And then also, can you remind them which social media channels?
Sure. So some of the work that you can, like some of the ones that you mentioned, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens is available to watch on Disney XD and Hulu. The Tunnel you can get on DVD, and there's lots of other places like the Roku channel, Amazon Prime Video. Lots of this indie animation stuff I do is on YouTube. You can listen to some of the podcasts I'm in on Penna FM. There's lots of places. And yeah, of course, kevincutliffe.com. That's my website, and you can find all my social media right there.
Awesome, guys. So if you missed an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, visit our channels on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, Spotify, and Spreaker. It is Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? Because now I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube. It's Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. And if you want to find out what's going on with America's Got Talent Fantasy League, what happened last season on Masked Singer, or want to hear my take on the latest new music, head to jakes.shake.com. Once again, jakes.shake.com. Kevin, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and I'm so glad we were able to spend time together.
Of course. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, everybody. Good.
See ya.
Bye.